Hi everyone. We continue back to our discussion from last lecture about the malicious software, correct? This is uh, another part of malicious software. They call it as mobile code. What is mobile code actually? It's still refer to the program which shape and change to the heterogeneous collection of platform and execute with identical semantic with the application you use uh, every day from the internet itself. They embed this kind of mobile code to ensure the attacker can get access to our machine. So some of the popular mobile code vehicle they call it. This is the medium they use to affect our machine or our endpoint. So one of it Java applet, because most of our web application, mobile application use Java as a user interface, user interactive, and so on, right? Java applet, ActiveX, so that when this kind of mobile code transmit from remote system, sometimes the zombie system from the malware server itself, and then they transfer to local system, and then this mobile code will be executed on the local system without user instruction. Mean automatically download and execute once user have interact with the application that contains this kind of mobile codes. Other than Java applet and ActiveX, there are JavaScript as well, and also VB script, Visual Basic Script. This is common mobile code that has been used every day, but there are some malicious software can be embedded inside the mobile code. Then the most common way of using mobile code for malicious operation on local system using the cross-site scripting attack. And then used in interactive and dynamic website like Web 2.0, which user will interact with the web itself. This look like when you visit, for example, you view your page, your Facebook page, your post, and some of the friend posts, they share something, and then they ask you to click. So that's one of the way they doing it. And then email attachment is also common way to embed the mobile code, and they give you maybe a very interactive, a very interesting offer, and then you think, okay, why not I open the email, I open the attachment, then actually your machine already affected when you click and download the contents. Download from untrusted site or untrusted software. This also happen when you try to download movie, download software. It's freely available, but actually from untrusted website. Then we see there are client-side vulnerability and drive-by download. Also part of the malicious software that can be utilized or exploited by the attacker. So what is drive-by download? Most of you know already, right? They exploit the browser vulnerability so that when the user view the page controlled by the attacker, then they can automatically download to your browser, to your machine, because they normally contain the exploit program which exploit the vulnerability of the browser. So that's why as an end user must ensure our browsers are up to date, patched, and so on. It does not actively propagate as worm does because they require user intervention. However, they still can harm the system. Watering hole attack are a variant of this use. They call it watering hole attacks, type of attack. In highly targeted attacks. For example, if they target the big organization that has a lot of user inside, so they can do this kind of thing, and they can disrupt the network and also the organization IT infrastructure in very short period of time. Okay. Another way how they manage to exploit the target, the attacker normally research their intended victim to identify websites that are likely to visit, and then scan this site to identify those with vulnerability that allow the compromise with drive-by download attack. For example, you know, Inti, Inti will, Inti student, Inti lecturer will visit Blackboard, right? So they try to find the vulnerability in the Blackboard and try to exploit it. Okay, and other than that, they have also term they call it malvertising. Malware with advertising, they combine together become malvertising. So they place malware in the website without actually compromise them. So only they used to the attacker only pay for the advertisement that highly likely to be placed on their intended target website. Like in, for example, they know that particular user will visit in online banking or Shopee, for example. They will find, they will pay for the advertisement they can put in Shopee website. Then when the targeted user click or the visit the website, they will compromise it. So they incorporate or embed the malware inside their advertisement. Other than that, they have clickjacking. What is clickjacking actually? Also known as user interface redress attacks. This type of attacks or the malware actually utilize or exploit the vulnerability used by attacker to collect an infected user clicks. Normally, the attacker can force the user to do variety of things, from adjusting the user computer setting to unwittingly sending the user to website that might have malicious code. So when the user click, they move, okay, click here, click there, until user click the things or the website that they want user to click and affected the user machine. They can take advantage of Adobe Flash or JavaScript, or attacker could even place a button under or over a legitimate button, making it difficult for user to detect. At least normal when you want to download free software, for example, there are many download button. You need to find the correct button before you download, because normally other button will send you or you will bring you to malicious website. Please be careful. Okay, this is typical attack. Use multiple transparent or opaque layer to trick user into clicking. Sometimes you want to click download, for example, ebook, but actually once you click the download button, actually you will be bring to another website that required you to register for games, or for example register for contests. That's another way how this clickjacking works, so be careful on that. Also, using a similar technique, keystroke can also be hijacked. Your whatever you click, right? If, so this is a carefully crafted combination of style sheets, iframes. This is the web technology, iframe, and text box. They combine together all the web-based features. Then they make malicious code on that. For example, this one. User can be led to believe they are typing in the password to their email or bank account, but instead typing into an invisible frame controlled by the attacker. Maybe later I can show you example of this when we go to IPS IDS. Rare packet which can be analysts using this kind of tools to see example of iframe uh, exploit by the attacker. There are some sample I will show you later. And then we have a spam. What is spam? Most of you know already, right? This is the unsolicited book email. Normally they use spam email to launch another attack. Impose significant cost on both the network infrastructure because need to relay this traffic on the user who need to filter their legitimate email and so on. You imagine your organization has more than 1,000 users, for example. If each of the user email account uh, has 2 or 3 spam email in a day, so you need to filter it. It will degrade the performance of your email server as well as the productivity of your employee. So now most recent spam is sent by botnet using compromised user system. So, automatically. It looks like the newsletter, but actually spam. Is a significant carrier of malware. Can be part of the malware infected or carrier infection vehicle, we call it. May be used in the phishing attack as well. Depend on the contents of the spam email. So if you are the network admin, you try to find the way to communicate with maybe your system admin, which managing the email so that they can know how you can integrate with email spam filtering with other solution in your network security solution. In user side, maybe user require this kind of thing, user active choice, because some of the email filtering is not accurate enough, so that some of the legitimate user email also classify as the spam. So you need to check your spam folder regularly as well in order to avoid any important email to be classified as spam email, and vice versa. That's we call it false alarm. Other malware, we have Trojan Horse as well. Like we discussed earlier about Trojan Horse, the Troy film, right? This is the example. This apparently look like useful program or legitimate program. However, contain hidden code that, when invoked, perform some unwanted or harmful function. They can integrate together with other type of malware. So they got 3 models. Either continue to perform the function of the original program and additionally performing a separate malicious activity. So still they can perform the original program, the legitimate program that they use to enter the system, and then other than that they can modify the function of the system itself or the program. First, the original program is still there, but they perform separate malicious activity. But the second one, they modify the function, then perform the malicious activity using the same program function. Other than that, they didn't modify, but they completely replace so that the original program not work as what they required. Example. Then we have payload, how the system corruption. Once malware is active on the target system, the next concern is what action it will take on the system. That's we call it payload. This is example of payload. Later, once you're working in security operation center, maybe you are the one that required to become a threat analyst or malware analyst, and then maybe you also can become a threat hunter. So this is example the payload that you need to find. First, the payload can destruct the data on the affected system when certain trigger conditions were met based on the code that they execute. And then can also display unwanted message or content on the user system when triggered. Then other example, encrypt the user data and demand payment in order to assign the key needed to recover this information. This is example of ransomware. They can encrypt or they can hide the file. Then they they ask for ransom pay. We call it ransomware. I think in chapter 1 or chapter 2 we discussed about example, right? Although the organization pay for it, not completely settled or resolved. Still, the data compromised, data can be sold with to others, because it's not only encrypt the data, they can steal the data itself. Or other example, inflict real damage on the system. They can delete everything, they can change the behavior of the system and so on. This is example of payload from the malware. Other than that, attempt to rewrite the BIOS code used to initially boot the computer. This is involve the bootloader or BIOS level, or target specific industrial control system software. This is what we discussed about the Stuxnet, right? The Siemens system, specific Siemens control system. Nowadays, we have a lot of IoT related devices, IoT sensors, IoT chip, and so on. So it's more and more target can be used by the attacker. Other than that, we have logic bomb, which is code embedded in malware that is set to explode when certain conditions are met. The condition here, you know lah, when you write the code if else, right? If that condition fulfill the if condition, for example, they will explode, they will execute. It depends on the type of malware itself in the logic bomb. This is the payload.